to another episode of Talk Bold Action. It's another Wednesday, and so we have more news from World Games about what to expect in third edition of Bold Action. But before moving on to the main subject of the video, allow me to address something else. In these last few days, there are been some leaks about more rules like natural rules, point costs, etc. They are not official releases or official leaks, if you want to define them as such, by Warlord Games. I have seen them, I have read them, and I have decided that it wouldn't be fair for me to discuss them in my videos. Again, because they are not official. I do not know how the people that leaked them got them, whether it was legally or illegally. I don't know, I do not want to know, and frankly, I don't give a damn. So don't expect me to discuss those leaks. I will stick to what Warlord Games has officially decided to share with us, with the player base, with the public, and I won't be talking about anything else that's not official. After all, we are less than a month away from the official release of third edition, and it wouldn't make sense to me to just go into the quagmire of possible elations, because again, they are leaks, might be true, they might be not. Once again, I'm not interested. I won't be talking about them here on my channel. Of course, I will make an unboxing video. Of course, I will be more than happy to discuss the pros and cons of the new and hopefully improved third edition of the game, but no leaks from me. Alright, now that this is out of the picture, let's move on to this week's subject, and this week's subject is close combat. Close combat, it's an integral part of the game. Close combat has always been a rather messy affair.
Two men enter,
because we know that
man
in second edition and in first edition as well, it's not something for the faint-hearted. It's not something without risks, because if you shoot at someone, you don't kill any of the opposing models, you still don't lose anything. You have literally nothing to lose by shooting at someone and missing them. On the other hand, close combat always carried an intrinsic amount of risk, because even if you took a very advantageous charge, it always carried the risk of failure, because we know that when you roll dice, everything can happen. So while I am firmly for making some reasonable statistical assumptions on how anything should be, how shooting should be, how close combat should be, I always keep in mind, and I think you should too, keep in mind that there are risks. I often joke with my gaming friends that close quarters is a kind of a last ditch option, because again, it carries a big risk of failure, even though I already hear you saying there were many units that made uh, close combat a way easier procedure, so to speak. And I'm thinking Gurkhas from, for example, and I'm thinking about the latest I don't know, abundance. Yes, the latest abundance of cavalry in bolt action games. Why? Because of course Gurkhas are close combat monsters. I hate them. I don't want them. I'm not interested in the models. I think they're stupid. But again, this is some personal interpretation. Cavalry, also cavalry. The latest cavalry spam. It's not something I enjoy. But again, I digress. Let's move to third edition. That's what we are interested in, because that's what we will be what we will have to keep in mind in less than a month's time. So the new close combat, close quarters procedure, it mainly remains the same as it was in second edition. You always declare your target, you measure the move distance to check whether you're not in range. The target reacts if it's able, if the target unit hasn't taken an action yet, etc., etc. You move the assaulting models, and now you fight in close combat. What's the main difference? In second edition, if you charge an enemy unit in an open field, the attacker always got to strike first. Striking first meant that the defender had to remove any casualties inflicted before they got to strike back. So, if you managed to wipe out the enemy completely, you got your victory and your order dice scot-free. Now they did a big shift from that, because they wanted to make close combat even riskier for the attacker as well. And this I think it's a very interesting and welcome change, because now in the new close combat, the new basis, so if you charge someone in the open, the combat is simultaneous. So the attacker no longer has an advantage, but as we will say, it's the defender that basically gets to have an advantage. And the best an attacker can accomplish is to level the playing field. But let's recap again. So you charge in the open, you no longer get the defender to remove their models first before striking back. So the basic of close combat is simultaneous killing. You already can see how this is huge, because while in second edition, if you timed and organized your units and your charges well, you basically really worked on those odds we were talking about before, so you were less likely to take a lot of hits back. Maybe you could risk one or two models, especially in those SMG decked veteran assault teams. Now close combat is quite a messier affair, and again I like it, because now even if you charge with all the advantage, and the best you can do is not to give the defender an advantage, means that in any case the enemy will strike back. So you are poised to lose models in every close combat. And I think this is great news, because that means then even if you start with a let's say a 10-man squad with full SMG, like a commando squad. Of course, you mow down more likely than not the first enemy you charge, but while in second edition you could maybe really get away scot-free, so you could charge and destroy the enemy without losing a single model. Now, given that all models still fight back, even in the best assault in your favor, you probably will lose one, two, three models, I don't know. But the point is, for the second close combat they will be involved in, they will have lost some manpower. And losing manpower for assault squads means having them very weakened. So maybe yes, you can do a second assault and still win it with a good likelihood. But then again, your the ratio at which your squad size is dwindling is way higher than it used to be, and so in turn this will mean that all those close combat oriented armies will be lessened in power, because let's face it, close combat, again, it's a tough job. People die, and so it's good that you take losses while you do that. Of course, I'm thinking Japanese, despite the fact that not many players play Japanese, so it will likely have a big impact. And let's also say, to check the changes to the defensive position. So this is the quote directly from Warlord Games, from the big book of Bolt Action. Whenever the assault of the enemy is gone across obstacles or rough ground, or when the defender is being fought across an obstacle, the defender has the advantage of readying themselves for the onslaught, and can place a few blows of their own as the enemy makes its way across the terrain. This means that, instead of both sides fighting simultaneously, the defender fights first, rolling to damage as above. The attacker first removes casualties as above, and then rolls to damage, but only with any surviving models. Finally, the defender removes casualties as normal, and the winner is determined as above. Note, however, that defenders that are down when they are assaulted cannot benefit from this defensive position bonus. The fight is resolved simultaneously as normal. So you see, the change is huge, because where all the stacks were in favor of the attacker in second edition, now the thing is reversed. Now, on average, defenders have an advantage, because being able to take enemy models out before they hit, of course, it's a big boon. And since close combat remains deadly as it was, i.e., two units fight and only one gets to remain alive at the end of combat, this is really important. Now, this ties in nicely with some of the special units that we discussed a few videos before. The main rule is engineers. Remember, engineers, while assaulting buildings, get to remove the defender's advantage. We didn't know back then what this meant in particular. Now we know that what this means, if engineers charge an enemy in a building, both sides get to strike at the same time. This is the way engineers negate the defender advantage. But there's another rule that I really dislike. I already spoke about that, and I'm going to repeat it, and that is fieldcraft. Let's recap. What Fieldcraft states is that these units are rigorously trained and equipped for traversing different types of difficult terrain, and therefore treat rough ground as open ground instead. Now, as usual, much will depend on the exact wording. What I am wondering is, if I have a unit with Fieldcraft and I charge an enemy that is standing in dense terrain, does this mean that my ability to Fieldcraft basically does the same as the engineer's special rule does, thus negating defender's advantage? I think this is likely. And again, this is something I do not particularly like. I don't know as of now how many units will have these special rules, engineers and especially Fieldcraft. What I fear is that will be quite a spam of these kind of units over normal units due to the innate advantages that they have. And again, this ties with another incoming rule change that I do not particularly like, and that is the new platoon system. Why I don't like this change? Because I fear that the consequence will be the spamming of units that are way too efficient for the points. Again, I will not discuss any kind of point system as of now because officially we don't know anything, but the likelihood of the system basically allowing players to spam units that turn up to be too effective is something that I think is detrimental to the game, and more likely than not lessens the fun factor of a game of bolt action. Again, I will be happy to be proved wrong. I hope to be proved wrong, but my feelings, my gut feeling, is that this won't be a great change. I know again many of my friends like it. They like the platoon system because it allows you for more precise customization of your force if you want to do something more historically accurate. Of course, this helps, unlike the old generic reinforced platoon that we had in second edition. But again, my fear is that will be too much spam. I mean, okay, engineer platoons were and are a reality in militaries, but my fear is that we'll be seeing too many of them, that we will see too many mortars. For example, you can have like 4 or 5 mortars in an army. Seriously? I don't know. I don't like the idea. Well, guys, this is it for today's video. Before saying goodbye, I just wanted to tell you of something of the things I am working with. I am working with a new battle report, which will more likely than not be the last second edition battle report featured on this channel. It will be a fight involving the Soviet Union against the Germans in a Stalingrad milieu environment. Hopefully it will be up soon, as soon as I'm done with the editing, and then I'll try to bring a new kind of video, a video about a meeting that my gaming group, Free War Games, that we went to last weekend. It won't be about bolt action. So if you are not interested in any other game, you will be able to skip the video at all at one go. But I think it might be something interesting. Of course, you will be you will have the last word by watching it, liking it or not liking it. All right. Thanks for staying here with me until the end of the video. To those of you who managed this heroic feat, remember to like the video if you did, to subscribe if you want to give me a hand in growing this channel, and as usual, until next time, be safe and ciao ciao.